Strobe Studios presents Michael Helgens and Greg Kilberger in The Watson Files. Coming to you from the illustrious Strobe Studios in the heart of America, this is Craig Dahlen. And now, let's join the doctor and see what story he has for us today.
Come in.
Well, hello, doctor.
Mr. Dahlen. How are you this evening?
Quite well. What's with all the decorations? Are you having a party?
Well, as a matter of fact, this week marks 1 year since I told you my first story, right here in this very room.
Why, I believe you're right. I hadn't even thought about that.
And in honor of this momentous event, I understand that Strobe Studios will be offering a 33% discount on the first season of our adventures for a limited time.
Is that so?
Yes. They tell me that people will be able to purchase the electronic version of all 21 commercial-free episodes for only $7.99 at strobestudios.com.
But that's more than 4 hours of recordings. That's only $2 per hour.
Indeed. Can I interest you in a celebratory cigar?
Of course. So what story do you have prepared for our 1-year anniversary?
Well, I thought we'd go back to the beginning once again.
Oh?
Do you recall the very first adventure that I shared with you?
Well, I believe that was the case of the missing cat.
I'm impressed. You have a good memory.
Well, it was a very interesting case, with the falling toilet water and all.
Yes, I suppose it was.
So what does the accidental death of the governor's daughter have to do with tonight's story?
Well, I'm afraid you didn't get the rest of the story.
Is that so?
Yes, it wasn't until some time later that the rest came out, but we're quite sure the two cases were related.
Well, you've definitely piqued my interest, Doctor. Shall we get to the story then?
I see no reason why not. As you may recall, Governor Smith's daughter was the unfortunate victim of a large chunk of blue ice that fell from a passing airplane.
Yes, there was a leak and some of the toilet water froze and plummeted to the earth.
Exactly. Well, not long after, we received a visit from Governor Smith, who was very concerned about another accidental death. It seemed to him, and rightly so, that there was something fishy going on over at the airport. Soon, Holmes and I found ourselves once again looking into suspicious mechanical failures.
I found this in my parents' attic, Watson. You'll appreciate it.
Why, what is it?
It's the letters VR, done in bullets. Apparently they took it from the wall in my grandfather's study and framed it. If you could help me hang it, I would certainly appreciate that.
Oh, all right.
A little to the left, I think.
Like that?
And a bit more.
How about there?
Back to the right again.
Good heavens, Holmes. Make up your mind.
A little more. A bit more. Just a touch more, and...
Holmes!
Get the door, Watson. You can clean up that mess later.
Now, who could that be?
Well, if I had to venture a guess, I'd say Governor Smith with a new case for us to look into.
Good afternoon, Dr. Watson.
Hello, Governor. Come in.
Thank you.
Holmes, how could you have possibly known who was at the door?
Oh, Watson, I can't reveal all of my tricks.
It, could have something to do with the text I sent him on my way over.
Well, that was one clue I employed, yes.
So, Governor, what seems to be the trouble?
Well, I'm rather concerned about what's happening across town at the airport.
The airport?
Yes, it seems there has been another accidental death from a mechanical failure.
That's the second one in less than a month. I can see why you might be alarmed.
Yes, well, statistically improbable does not mean impossible, but it's certainly worth looking into.
I hoped you might feel that way.
Why don't you fill us in on what you know so far?
Yes, of course. You already know about the first incident with my daughter. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Take your time.
It's just that sometimes I forget she's gone, and then when I think about it... Well, anyway, you may have heard about the recent plane crash?
Yes, it was front-page news.
It was a rookie pilot, as I recall. Had trouble on takeoff and crashed into a farm. But I didn't know any people had been killed.
Well, Mr. Grangerson's prized pig perished in the incident.
You want us to investigate the death of a pig?
We'll do it. Consider the case solved.
But Holmes,
Now, Watson, there is no case too big or too small.
since when?
Since I started working on a catchphrase, you've got to market yourself in this economy, you know.
I think it still needs some work.
If you two would be quiet for 2 seconds, I could explain.
Oh, of course. Sorry.
The pilot narrowly survived the crash and has been recuperating at the hospital.
Yes, I understand he is expected to make a full recovery.
Yes, but he has asked to speak with Spencer.
With me?
Yes, he claims to have some important information and won't talk to anyone else. So you'll look into it then?
We will indeed.
Can I help you, gentlemen?
I hope so. We're looking for room 317.
Down the hall, take a left, then a right.
Thank you. I wonder if she's available.
Do try to keep your mind on the case, old boy.
Yes, of course. What do you suppose this guy wants to tell you?
I haven't the slightest idea. That's what makes it so curious.
Perhaps he wants to confess a crime.
Well, that would make sense if he were dying, but...
Yes, that's true. Ah, here we are. Hello?
Yes?
Marcus Franklin?
You must be Spencer Holmes.
I know of no other. I understand you wanted to see me.
Yeah, yes. Thank you for coming.
I understand your injuries were fairly minor, considering you crashed your airplane.
Yes, mostly just some broken bones, and
Are you all right?
I don't know. I just...
Watson, look!
What?
There's blood coming from your ears. I'll get the nurse.
Don't worry, we'll get you some help.
Mr. Holmes,
Yes?
the pig holds the key.
What?
The
Step aside. He's in arrest.
What happened?
I really don't know. We were just talking and
Grab the crashed cart. Start compressions. You're gonna have to step outside.
Yes, of course.
I thought he didn't have any serious injuries.
Well, perhaps there was internal damage that they weren't aware of.
Perhaps he had Dupuytren's America.
Perhaps.
Mr. Holmes and Dr. Watson.
Yes,
Jason.
yes, the mechanic over at the airport.
Ah, yes, I remember you now. We met briefly after the governor's daughter died.
Yes, that was a real tragedy.
Yes.
So what are you doing here?
Well, we came to see Marcus, the pilot who crashed the other day.
Oh, really? I was just coming to see him myself. Did you know him?
No, actually, and I'm afraid there's some bad news.
Has something happened?
Well, he appears to have had some sort of heart attack just moments ago. We don't really know much yet. They sent us out into the hall.
I thought the doctor said he was going to be fine.
Clearly they were mistaken.
Are you sure you heard him clearly, Holmes?
Yes, Watson, he said the pig is the key.
But that doesn't make any sense. He hit that pig purely by chance. How could it be related to the crash?
I guess we'll find out, won't we?
Perhaps.
Yes?
Yes, hello. I know this may sound strange, but we'd like to buy your dead pig.
What?
Well, I understand you have a pig that was killed by the airplane that crashed here yesterday.
Yes, but
We'd like to buy it.
I don't understand.
It's a bit difficult to explain, but seeing as how you have no more use for it...
Well, I suppose I was just going to butcher it anyway.
You do that yourself?
Well, yeah, back in the shed.
How much would it cost to have you cut it up for us?
Well, I don't know if...
I'll give you $1,000 to cut that pig up for us, and you can keep the meat.
All right, you got yourself a deal. Let's go.
So that must have been quite the surprise when that plane crashed into your barn.
Yes, I was just on my way out to feed the chickens, too. Watched it as it smashed right through the roof over there.
And I take it the aircraft landed on the downed tree over there.
It sure did.
And your pig was in the barn?
Yes, until the plane sent her flying across the yard. He landed in those raspberry bushes.
So it seems on occasion pigs can fly after all.
Yeah, he's right in here.
She's huge!
Yes, she won the county fair last year.
Ah, congratulations.
Thanks. Is there any particular part you want me to cut up first?
It looks like she sustained some serious lacerations on that one side here.
Yep, and he bled out.
Why don't we start there?
Well, that's odd.
What?
Well, there seems to be something hard in there besides the bone.
It wouldn't happen to be a key, would it?
Nope. Looks like more clamp or something.
Do you mind if we hang on to that?
For $1,000, you can have it.
Thank you. Watson, call Officer Weathers and have him meet us at the airport. Tell him we are ready to arrest Marcus's murderer.
Holmes, I don't understand. We haven't done any autopsy on Marcus yet, and the doctors seem to think that he died of an unforeseen complication from the accident.
Yes, well, they are wrong, and I believe we will find that it was no accident either.
What do you mean, Holmes?
You'll see. Did you check on whether or not Jason is around?
Yes, the secretary went to get him.
And you think he is the murderer, Holmes?
Either a murderer or a time traveler. Which do you feel is more likely?
Mr. Holmes and Dr. Watson, it's good to see you again.
Yes, and I believe you know Officer Weathers. He's looking into the death of Marcus.
Yeah, that's a terrible thing. So you're going after the doctors then?
I'm sorry?
Well, he died because they didn't notice something was wrong, right? Just assumed.
Now, Jason, we both know that's not true.
What are you talking about?
Does this look familiar?
Well, it's a clamp like we use for the hoses on an airplane.
Yes, but this particular one has your fingerprints on it.
So, there are probably hundreds of them that do.
And yet this one was hidden inside a pig by Marcus after his crash. Why?
I couldn't begin to guess.
Oh, I think you know exactly why he put it there.
Are you trying to accuse me of something?
No, but Marcus was, and he had loads of evidence to back it up.
What evidence?
Documents showing all of the times that you deliberately damaged parts.
What? That's ridiculous.
Is it? We found a whole file in his apartment. Looks like he's been building a case for some time now. But this clamp, this was the big one, wasn't it? Before it was just inconveniences you were causing, but when Miss Smith got hit by the blue ice, your little escapades got taken to a whole new level. But then everyone said it was an accident and you were safe until Marcus put the pieces together.
You sabotaged his plane, didn't you?
No!
Except he didn't die, but he knew you were after him, so he hid the evidence in the only place he could find after the crash, the farmer's prized pig.
You're crazy.
Perhaps, but the evidence doesn't lie. And the video from the hospital, well, that's the icing on the cake.
Video?
Yes. See, Marcus knew you were after him, so he had a camera installed in his room. Unfortunately for him, it couldn't prevent his murder. It did capture some wonderful footage of you sneaking in and injecting something into his IV.
But... It's his own fault, you know. Should have just left things alone and kept his mouth shut.
So it's true then?
Yeah, it's true.
Well, then you're under arrest.
Thank you, Jason. Without that confession, we would have been in a tight spot.
But what about... You mean there's no tape?
No. I may have exaggerated our evidence a bit.
But you said...
Sorry.
How'd you know it was me?
It was at the hospital, actually. You said, did you know him? Past tense. As if he were already dead. But at that point you supposedly thought he was going to be all right. If you were innocent, you would have said, do you know him?
You based your whole theory on a verb tense?
Yes, I suppose I did.
So, Holmes was just bluffing the whole time.
Indeed.
But what if he had been wrong?
Well, then we wouldn't have got a confession, and no real harm would have been done.
Yes, I suppose it couldn't hurt to try.
And of course, he was right.
It was very impressive how Holmes pieced together what had happened.
Yes, it was quite the feat, even for him.
Well, I can't wait to hear what sort of deductions Holmes will make next week.
Well, perhaps next week I'll tell you about the story of Holmes at the zoo. I believe I hinted at that once before, but we never got around to it.
With the lions and tigers and bears, I believe.
Oh my and oh yes.
All right, I can't wait for that one. This should be a good one. Tonight's Watson Files adventure was written by Scott Strosahl. Spencer Holmes and Dr. Watson were played by Michael Helgens and Greg Kilberger. Additional voices were performed by Steve Rimpici and Kasey Strosahl. Until next week, this is Craig Dahlen saying good night from Strobe Studios.
Indeed. Can I interest you in a celebratory cigar?
Of course.
That sounds like
Of course.
cigar refrains. This is the cigar of no sex. Maybe you should try that line.
Yeah.
I said celebratory. It's not my fault you guys heard celibate.
I heard celebratory. Why don't you say it again?
It is celebratory.
Celebratory, yes. You said celebratory.
You did.
You
Celebra.
left out the R.
Celebra.
Oh, no, I said it. You just weren't listening.
Are we going to have to go back to
Indeed.
the-
Go ahead. I have confidence in my R's. Can I interest you in a celebratory cigar? Celebratory.
So now you should do this next part with a cigar, like as if you have a cigar in your mouth.
Okay.
You want to
So-
one?
Well, I thought we'd go back to the beginning once again.
Whoa.
Watson is Groucho Marx.
You know what I mean? Let me slip out of these wet clothes and into a dry martini. It seemed to him, and rightly so, that there was something fishy going on over at the airport. That's when you say it's a mammal.
It's a mammal.
I saw that as soon as I said fishy.
A
Mammal.
lot of fish going on in this episode.